start by breaking down each of these games. And first up is going to be the Los Angeles Rams at the Carolina Panthers. The 8-9 Carolina Panthers won the NFC South in a 3-way tie and will host a playoff game against the almost 1 seed Los Angeles Rams. And it's just funny, this is a conversation every year. People talk about it. And, you have these bad, worst division winners hosting a playoff game. And, people want it to change. I think it's fine. You won your division. The Rams are still in the playoffs. And in this game, they're favored. It's the biggest difference in any game in the wild card round, and that's minus 10.5 to the Rams. So 2 possessions. And I think that's kind of funny because, as we all know, the Panthers beat this Rams team earlier on in the season.
Yes, they did.
Right. So what is going into this? Well, there are some things to keep in mind that, there are some injuries that were affecting the Rams. Now, they did have Devontae Adams in that game. He caught 2 touchdowns. But they also were missing their safety, Quinton Lake, in that game. And Bryce Young was 3 for 3 on 4th down with deep ball passes to T-Mac and Jalen Coker. And they actually only got to the red zone 1 time. So it was a very, very odd way, the way the Panthers were able to expose this Rams defense. But it's not like they're the only ones who've done it. A.J. Brown with the Eagles, like we said, we've learned at this point, these physical wide receivers, can really get after this Rams secondary, injuries or not. Now, the Panthers, how did they get to this 8-9 spot? The up and down, win, lose. In fact, upset the Rams, lose to the Saints. That kind of, drasticness was, plaguing their season, but they are still here, and they're going to take on the Rams. So, Dan, I'm just kind of curious, what do you think it is that Vegas sees? I'm not asking you who you're picking, but what do you think they're looking at and thinking why the Rams should be favored by 10?
I mean, because if you think about it, right, the Panthers went in and absolutely backhanded the shit out of the Rams, for absolutely no reason. They had no reason to win that game, right? The Rams had every reason to lose that game, if I'm being honest with you, because they were playing absolutely horrific football. That was not a Sean McVay normal offense that we're normally seeing, and especially in primetime situations where Stafford needed to go down the field. And what did he do? Bro, fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
In a very crucial spot. So in a moment like this, I think Vegas looks at this as the Rams need to have a game where they need to show the NFC yo, we might have been slow going into the ending the regular season.
Right.
But it's this is not just for the NFC, but this is for the Rams itself to prove to themselves that they are a dominant team with a bunch of big names that are supposed to go somewhere. This team is, in my opinion, calibered like the Eagles were last year, beginning to end. The only difference was
I still give the edge to the Eagles last year. Yeah, but go. So sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So it's to me, it's for the Eagles didn't have that slow start at the end of the year. They were firing on all cylinders, even when the backups were in, because they were that locked in. And it's almost like the Rams, because they wanted to save Devontae Adams, save a lot of these people that are hurt, still could not get any momentum. Puka was having to ball out twice as hard to be able to try to keep up. It would be nice because he's not going to have that as much now because Devontae Adams is back, sure. But I think this is Vegas trying to say the Raiders have a proven game and that they're going to do it.
The Raiders?
Not the Raiders, the Rams.
The Rams. You're good. Yeah, I think, the Vegas
you said
people.
Vegas, that's why I thought about the Raiders.
No, yeah, right. Yeah, I know. I placed it into your head. I'm sorry, but I think once again I'll do it again. So be careful. Vegas, the script believers, they know that the Rams are supposed to be this great team, and that there's no way that they first of all should lose to an 8-9 team. They have to. Make it at least to the divisional round, right? They have to win at least one playoff game. So they just don't really want to convince themselves that this game will be close. It's at Carolina. There might be just like a little bit of rain.
Rain,
So
snow,
so
whatever.
like that could throw things off a little bit. And it's not like I kind of, made a bit of an exaggeration before to say that Bryce Young's fourth down conversions were the only thing the Panthers offense had going for them. They had a strong run game, a good offensive line, probably a top 10, top 8 unit in the NFL, and they have a great running back duo. And they were able to control time of possession in that first matchup. And that was really huge in kind of making those turnovers the Rams had worse, right? Because then you're turning the ball over and you just gave it back to them for another 5 or 10 minutes. Like, that was huge in that game. And it helps expose this Rams defense for another weakness they have, because the defensive line is great. But my concern heading into last year was that they would be too small. Now, they improved the run defense at the start of this season. I was bringing it up with the EPA metrics and stuff like that. They don't quite look like that in the second half of the season. They have fallen from the second best in EPA at like mid-season to now they're like 8 or 10, right? So that means you had to have been performing lower than that, right, to get down to that point. So there's been problems with this Rams defense. The turnovers on offense make it, really hard for them to win with it. So what do I think is going to happen in this one? Because it seems like we're kind of gassing up, the Panthers, because they did win. They did win that first matchup. And I was kind of mocking the idea of, the Rams have to win this game. But there is going to be a lot of parity in this first round. I'm not sure this is where we're going to see it. I think, the Panthers converting the way they did on those fourth downs, despite them, winning time of possession and, being able to use the run game, they still needed those fourth downs and all of those turnovers to win that game. I'm just not going to bet on all of that to go in their favor again. So I think the Panthers keep it close enough. The Rams could run away with it and dominate, but I think that they would win by a score of, call it 33 to 24, I would say. No, that's right, because it's plus 10 Carolina, 33 to 24. They're able to score some points. Maybe some of it's in garbage time or whatever, but that's kind of my prediction.
I'm expecting them to actually hit the spread, but literally, I'm talking about like hit it, like just hit it. And I'm talking like 24 to 10.
24 to 10 would be 14. It's a 10 and a half.
24 to 14. I'm sorry, 24 to 14.
24 to 14. That's what I thought you meant. It could be defensive and like run dominated by both sides.
That's what I was thinking,
something we haven't talked a lot about is the Panthers defense, and I feel like they've been really good at like kind of disrupting people's passing games and kind of forcing these interceptions and stuff like that. But I do think the Rams...
JC Horn's a monster.
Right.
I feel like he's a very underrated corner in this league.
He is, because he's been on the Panthers for so long. But
exactly.
People are starting to realize, and for good reason. But yeah, the Panthers defense, it's got potential to get, dominated in this game. And I could see it, coming through the ground game if, Devontae and Puka isn't enough. Right. Even JC Horn's just one guy, and it takes a lot to cover up this Rams offense. So yeah, unfortunate for Panthers fans. It's been a great season, but I think, you'll be excited enough about the future making the playoffs.